Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. I am fired up today to talk about Fabled expected value. Historically, I've said that I'm going to skip Fabled. I said I'll, get a box or a trove, whatever, here or there, but didn't really have a massive, plan on pursuing singles because I thought the expected value was going to be very low due to all the reprints. But it looks like the new cards that they included, right, the 30 or 20 new cards that are in the set are performing very well. And when you take those, then also add on the epics, the enchanteds, the iconics, there's a pretty compelling story there in terms of expected value, especially here in the near future as we get to Friday essentially. But I came in to possibly getting some boxes tonight, and I think I might actually pull the trigger. So we'll talk about Fabled expected value, and then I want to end the video with a Reddit post that just resonated with me. I think it tells the story of Lorcana so well. I think it shows the future of Lorcana. It's a great story, and I just think it's a really, really cool post. So, with that being said, before we get into Fabled, I think, and this is part of the Fabled discussion, but yesterday, Ravensburger announced that our first NACCQ is going to be happening in Denver at the PPG event that starts on September 13th. You can go get tickets, play in that event, whatever. But this is really, really cool, and this was their solution to, hey, we're only going to have 3 DLCs in North America. We know that isn't great. They've listened to fan feedback, as they always do, and they are now essentially qualifying these third-party events for the winners to get tickets to the last chance qualifier, but the championship qualifier at the end of the season, whether it's in NA, EU, respectively to your region. And so this is a massive improvement and a great step in the right direction, right? Going from whatever we had 6 or 7 DLCs down to 3 was a major mess up. But this, in my opinion, is a solid solution to this. And this is going to keep the competitive scene thriving. So this is the first one. They're going to announce more. Hopefully SSG gets one, and I'm sure Charlie's will get one, and Inc. will get one. Hopefully, these people can run these big events. It's going to get people into the organization. It's good for the entire scene, right? That these events are happening frequently, and that's going to drive demand for all the cards, right? All the people who are mad about rotations are going to realize how much true opportunity is happening at these events. They're going to get back involved. They're going to purchase their cards again. Obviously, new people are going to be coming into the game, and so this is just good for the entire ecosystem, right? Especially for us as collectors. More liquidity, more people engaging in the market, buying their singles, etc. Gives us more ability to sell the singles, to go get enchanteds or whatever, right? It's just better for the entire ecosystem. So this was really, really good news, and I'm very excited to see that it's happening. Obviously, pretty quick turnaround, right? A lot of people maybe can't get out to Denver here in a couple weeks, but it's good that it's happening nevertheless. And just once again, look, they have, and I will continue to call them out as I feel like things are done wrong. They've stumbled quite a bit here recently, but this is what I've always said is like, look, they take it on the chin. They take feedback. They go live. They do Lorecast. They get the feedback, and then they get better, and this is just a perfect example of that. And that's why, just because they haven't ran a TCG before, you can't count them out. They obviously brought in a ton of industry experts, and they take their licks and they get better from them, and that's all we can ask. Whenever we look at Fabled in terms of expected value, some of the reasons why I'm kind of changing to where I thought it was going to be a dud and it's looking better and better is because cards like Dumbo exist in the set that are shaping up to kind of command the meta. So Dumbo, Ninth Wonder of the Universe, right now, its current lowest listing is $61, which is more than Maui Half Shark, and there's a ton of sales data for it. As you can see, like, people are paying $100 for the cold full version of this card, $65 for a playset, right? This has been going on since pre-sale started. People who are early to the game. And so whenever you have a legendary that's going to make up a $60 to $70 value, that's going to pump the expected value tremendously whenever the playables are going to be that much. Now, obviously, there's also going to be a ton of other legendaries, whether it's Max Goof, Scar, super rares like Powerline. Hades is currently sitting at $18, which honestly, Hades is very good. You would think people would just gravitate towards the first chapter, but if Hades in this set is going to be a $20 card, like I said, multiple super rares are over $20, and these will come down, right? But I'm not as certain that they're going to come down because of the supply issues here at the beginning. So we know that Fabled is going to be coming out in waves, and so look, if you're not playing in a tournament, and you don't need these cards, I would definitely recommend to wait, because we're going to see a lot more like kind of like top end scarcity here at the beginning and rarity, because product is going to be somewhat limited out of the gates compared to previous sets. Obviously, we've heard the stories here over the last week of stores getting their allocations cut down to like 10% of what they ordered, which has historically never happened. And so, you know, over the next coming weeks, more and more products is going to get released. But for now, like these cards might actually be pretty scarce. And we look at things like we talked about, like the PPG event coming up. Obviously, Inc. has a massive tournament. SSG has a massive tournament. I'm sure CCS has a massive tournament coming up. A lot of these people are kind of running massive Fable tournaments out of the gate. People are going to need cards, right? And so there is a world where these cards stay a little bit higher, longer than what they typically do before they tail off. And so what that means to us is that's going to give us expected value that remains very steady and high out of the gate just from playables. And you stack on the things like epics, enchanteds, and iconics, and you know you've got a recipe for success there. So I'm highly leaning to getting maybe like a case or something like that, and just kind of seeing what shakes out. At this point, you know, if you've been around the channel, you know that I've been look, I've been asking for additional rarities and talking about like a tier easier than Enchanteds and tiers harder than Enchanteds and things like that for, I mean, there's probably videos on the channel a year old of me talking about stuff like that. And the booster pack opening experience and make it more enjoyable and, you know, more shiny cardboard. And obviously they gave that to us in Fabled, which is great. Obviously, once again, I poo-pooed the reprints. 80% seems drastically, you know, over the top, but nevertheless, expected value looks to be very, very strong. So that is where we're at for Fabled. Very, very excited for it. We've seen some pretty outrageous iconic sales on eBay. On top of that, I don't think we have. Let's filter to. Let's get some of the shiny stuff in here if we can. I don't know if any of them are listed yet. We've got some One Last Hopes at 69. We've got Max Goof Rockin' Teen. That's a good card. I mean, that one might actually have some sales. Nope, no one's willing to pay $70 for the epic yet. It's a solid card. Shout out to Red being being singer now. We like it. Nothing, no iconics listed yet for Mickey. So I mean, look, a lot of these haven't been listed yet. It looks like honestly just some of the epics. Man, look at this Jasmine. That is that's an awesome card. That is such an awesome card, man. And someone's already pulled two of them. Tournament City, 2 Jasmines. I mean, the lore, like the art, man. Lorcana and art can't be stopped. So it looks like people are trying to get kind of like a $69 floor for the memes or whatever on these epics. A lot of enchanteds haven't been listed. What's Be King Undisputed? Any sales here? Nope. So no real sales. But once again, I mean, look, what do these end up at? Like, when does Be King Undisputed start to sell, or Robin Hood or whatever? These like $40 cards? Are they $50 cards? Are the ones that aren't playable? Is their floor $5? Is it $10? Like, you know, we have some enchanted locations right now that are sitting around like $15, $20. So you got to think epics are easier than those. And if people aren't playing these, then is it $5? Is it $10? I don't know what the floor is, but I know that this set it's looking up to have a tremendous expected value based on the fact that Dumbo, Max Goof, Scar, then you add in the epics, then you add in the enchanteds, then you add in the iconics. It's I would not be surprised if we're at like 180-ish expected value out of the gate, which, you know, a lot of times you can get boxes for like $100, $115, $120. So that at that point, like, that's when Lorcana is an absolute no-brainer to open, and honestly one of the only TCGs where you can open a box and your expected value is more than what you paid in. You know, if you look at like expected value of a lot of the Pokemon boxes, like, I mean, it's just like you should never open Pokemon, right? Like, that's kind of the consensus thinking, because it's not even a bad financial decision. It's like an egregious financial decision. But then I go to my brain, I'm like, all right, well, if we're not going to open the packs, what's the point of the game, right? What's the point of this entire thing? And so that's, you know, where I get away from the mindset of some of the serious collectors and investor of the sealed side. They say that there's no correlation between the cards and the boxes, which right now there's not, right? Like, so I'm wrong on that, but I just feel like the entire thing falls apart if no one's opening packs, right? That's the whole reason why we're here. And so, you know, Lorcana, which, you know, I've talked about on this channel for a long time, once again, Lorcana provides that at a fantastic level in terms of being able to open packs, get a ton of playables, be able to sell those while keep putting away some shiny cardboard. Like, yeah, I love that idea of Lorcana. It's definitely one of the reasons why I fell in love with it. Interested to see how some of these cards like Steamboat Pilot Mickey that aren't too playable, what they end up at. Lilo, best explorer ever. People trying to get rid of her for 400. Man, Tournament City. They have opened some boxes, man. Like every enchanted we click on, they've got an enchanted for sale. So yeah, very very cool. Very excited to see what comes from these. Circle of Life, man. The gold nameplates just look so good. What a card, man. I mean, for my 90s kids out there, like, this is just pure art. Tournament City. I mean, these guys, man. Yeah, we'll see what some of these shake out at, but just tremendous art out of the team. 10 out of 10. Absolutely 10 out of 10. Okay. All right, so that is it. Oh, Dumble's at 500 right now. All right, last one we'll look at, and then we'll move on to the Reddit post. No Dumbo sales yet, but, like, I mean, there's a world where Dumbo is like a $300 enchanted, $400 enchanted. Probably going to end somewhere between 200 and 300 if I had to guess. But once again, if there's a supply crunch at the beginning, people are going to want to take blinged out decks to these tournaments. And if you pull a Dumbo, you might be able to cash in literally an entire case from that card. I don't think that's out of the question. So, moving over to the Disney Treasure Lorcana experience. So this was 4 days ago on the Lorcana Reddit. EC2054 posted. I'll just read through it a little bit. But they're essentially, they did the collector's quest. They collected all of these cards. They were on the cruise. They say, new to the game, my family and I just recently finished our Disney cruise on the Disney Treasure. We came upon Lorcana in the gift shop. My son and I immediately became hooked. It was so awesome to watch him get excited over opening packs throughout the voyage and immersing himself in trading events on board. So this is where I'm going to just take a quick second and explain why that just opening paragraph resonates so much with me. I've told it on the channel before, so if you've heard it, I apologize, but I know there's a lot of new people here. So like my track record or history with Lorcana was very simple. I had some buddies texting in a group chat. I had heard about Lorcana, didn't really think anything of it. But essentially my daughter was homesick and was looking to get her out of the house and do something. Like, she was sick, but she wasn't that bad. We went to Target. We got some packs. We came home, opened them, and she pulled a non-foil, uncommon Elsa Snow Queen. And when she pulled that card, she was, like, freaking out. Like, Daddy, Elsa. She's, like, showing me. She's jumping up and down, and she was just, like, overwhelmed with joy, right? Like, her favorite character is now on a card. She's got all these, she's got Elsa palaces and dresses and all, all the things, right? Frozen was a major just movie and IP in her childhood. And obviously me as a dad, seeing her have that experience, and me growing up in the 90s with Pokemon, like my brain, the dopamine, whatever endorphin was going off, like, I was like overcome with joy, and I was like, holy, like, this is so cool. And on top of that, we, of the packs we opened, and this was back when it was just the first chapter, maybe Rise of the Floodborn was close to being out or just came out, but we pulled like a Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. We pulled like another good card that, I'm sending pictures to my friends as we're pulling them, not even knowing what the rarities are or anything. I'm just excited that my daughter loves Elsa. And the Maleficent at the time was worth like $45 or $50 or something like that. It was one of the best cards in the game. And I'm like, what? Like, we only paid like $30 for these like 6 packs we bought. And this one card just like doubled our money. And we still have all these other cards. And she's having a blast. I'm having a blast. I played Pokemon, played Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just like, and from there, honestly, it's just kind of been like amazing path of just like collect this amazing collection that we have, and just pure chaos and insanity. So that's kind of how we got here. But them sharing their experience about their son made me think about that experience with my daughter, and that's a lot of the reason why I have this channel and this collection, etc. Very similar event in my life. As many know, the treasure has 5 exclusive promo cards: Minnie, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy. The cards themselves are beautiful. All of them are fun to get, though I absolutely credit sealing an individual Mickey and giving it to every guest on board was brilliant marketing. So it seems like Mickey's always kind of their go-to to kind of like hand out a Mickey to everybody, but then have, the Goofy, the Donald, Daisy, Minnie, whoever to kind of like entice the chase to like get involved. but they talk about how questing and trading for Daisy and Donald were also were also great in a way that had people of all ages connecting. Kids and adults were introducing themselves, making conversation, and honestly creating a pretty awesome community in such a short amount of time. My little guy definitely benefited from getting out of his shell to muster up the confidence to trade cards and speak to new people in a welcoming environment. I'm sure a lot of parents could say the same. And this is something that they, I talked about, they're really shifting towards a collector, not necessarily focus, but like they're putting a spotlight on the collectors, and this collector quest is a way that they're doing that. They're going to be having these events at Disneyland, I believe, on the 29th, and maybe like while supplies last, but they are really putting a heavy emphasis on the collectors. These people are going on this Disney cruise. The majority of them probably have no clue what Lorcana is, but now you've got thousands of people on this cruise who are interacting with each other. They're trading. They've got these awesome shiny cards. They're exclusive. They're going to have this tremendous value. Like, there's so much there that will pull people in. And that's been like the difference for Lorcana for me from the beginning. Like, this idea that they have these parks and they have they have Disney Plus, they have cruises, they have all these different ways that you're interacting with the brand. And it's just such an easy way to kind of get sucked in. And things like this are that difference. In addition, like going to a movie and getting a Moana promo and all this stuff. Like, there's so many different ways that they can continue to include Lorcana in the Disney IP that, like, they're scratching the surface right now in terms of what's possible. Now, look, the first couple of years, it's grown like wildfire. You have people online poo-pooing it, but they don't understand the mass at which this IP operates. Like, they've already launched a worldwide competitive circuit in year 2. Like, that's absolutely insane. They're already doing movie release promos. They're already having people on cruises and putting out promos for that, creating different games around just collecting board games like the Quest and the Palace Heist. Like, the amount that they've churned out this quick is absolutely insane. Now, look, they're not perfect. There's been some hiccups, right? But at the end of the day, like, stuff like this is what sets Lorcana apart, and why, right now when everyone's, making unlimited money on their Pokemon and their Magic, that's bringing in a ton of people that are only there for the money, right? And the second that that market turns, and look, Pokemon could stay hot for another year. I have no clue. But the second it turns, it's going to be bad for the people who are leaving, right? Because it's going to be a race to the bottom for a lot of this stuff that they no longer want because it's not making them money. Right now, Lorcana is rolling out like initiatives on a cruise ship to get the cards in the hands of people who have no clue that it exists. And then they go on in this story to talk about how they're like all in on Lorcana now and how they love it. There's been other Reddit posts on specifically related to the cruise and how they love it. They had no intention of getting involved in Lorcana whatsoever. There was another post that talked about like they had heard of Lorcana, but it was kind of like they understood like how much hobbies like this like suck money out of you, and so they like intentionally avoided it. And then they get off the ship, they get handed the Mickey, they start doing the quest events, and now they're like, that ship has sailed in terms of pun intended, in terms of not getting involved. So stuff like this, whenever I know it's hard to be a serious collector and things like this, whenever everyone online is constantly poo-pooing Lorcana, whether it's Rudy, whether it's that Gone Rogue Games guy, whether you're in a Pokemon Discord, and everyone just, right now it's very cool to hate on Lorcana. Like, I can go to Target and everything's gone, but Yu-Gi-Oh! And Lorcana, like, too bad those games suck or whatever. Like, you see that stuff everywhere. My advice would be, buy what you like, tune all that out, and absorb what's happening here, right? Because we are at a unique moment where all the speculators and the flippers, not all, but most, who have no connection whatsoever, a lot of those guys have weeded themselves out over the last year, right? Because Lorcana's been in kind of like a flat to down. Some cards are up, but for the most part, like, it's been a bad 9 to 12 months, right? Purely financially. Now, they've done a lot of really good things in that time as well to bring in native people who enjoy the IP, enjoy the game, and that's the stuff that's going to lead to a very, very successful future. And so I just, I wanted to call out this post. Obviously, it hits home with me, right? Opening packs with my daughter. I've every set that comes out, I really enjoy opening packs with her because we're gonna pull something and she's gonna love it, right? Whether it's an uncommon Elsa, and then she pulled the uncommon Snow Queen Elsa. We went out and got a first edition one to match it, right? Had to have the twin there, but I mean it's just it's the magic of Lorcana. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there who have commented who share the same experiences as me. Like, And my buddy asked us in a group chat the other day, like, hey, what would you guys do if like a year from now, Lorcana, Ravensburger, it gets canceled, whatever, out of business, there's no more cards. Like, what TCG would you go to? I just simply said there probably isn't one. Like, that's just the real answer for me. Like, there is. I don't want to play Riftbound. I don't want to play Magic. I don't want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. Right? I've talked through all of that. Lorcana is the TCG for me, and this is the stuff that makes it special, right? I've got young kids, and taking them on a cruise and being able to, like, it's like the Disney magic for them, right? As the kids, I'm not a Disney adult by any means. But with that being said, like taking them on the cruise ship and getting to do like collector's quest, right, and stuff like that, like just 10 out of 10, absolutely amazing experience that I 100% look forward to. So very excited today for Fabled. Very excited for just continued events like this. Hopefully we get some more movie promos in the future, and they just get more and more entrenched in like the Disney brand. But like, look, steps like this kind of prove out how deeply Disney is invested in the future of Lorcana, right? Not only from a financial perspective, but like, I mean, like they're bringing on Ryan Miller and Lorcana into the cruise ships to talk about the game and get it in front of these people who are willing to go on like a Disney cruise. Like, I mean, that means something, especially in the world right now where so many of these TCGs are so hot and blowing up. Like, it's a great time for them to just get people involved at a core level, having these experiences on these cruise ships, these movies, whatever. And look, what if 3 years down the road we've got this online client and they've got a series on Disney Plus about these glimmers and the Great Illuminary and all that? Like, I mean, the world is Lorcana's oyster. We just have to see what they're able to do with it. And for the people who look, this I can't see the future. They could continue to fail time and time again, and eventually, a year from now, 2 years from now, it didn't pan out, and Disney says, hey, the ship has sailed, we're done with it. But the amount of like just pure collectability that exists within this game, it just cannot be matched, especially right now when you have times where people are just selling their cards for nothing, man. Pennies on the dollar. Like, and look, I'm either going to end up a fool with a mountain of worthless cardboard or not. I can't see, but I love the cards too much. I don't care. They bring us too much joy, and it is what it is, right? Now look, I'm not over leveraged. I have no credit card bills coming due. I have no interest coming due. We're collecting at a very healthy nature, and I think that is key to the experience. You don't have to sell these cards, right? You never want to be in a spot where you have to sell your collectibles. You need to be able to apply time to them. But yeah, I'm just I'm fired up overall for the cruise stuff. Fired up for Fabled, and yeah, sneakily the expected value for Fabled is I think it's going to be very, very good out of the gate here. We need some of these cards to start like selling once we get closer and closer. Obviously, as more product gets open, more supply hits the market, prices are going to come down, and we're going to kind of see where these epics stabilize at, where do the enchanted stabilize at, where do the iconics stabilize at. Because I think we had an iconic sell. I think that one that was asking 4,000 Canadian, Lorcana Guru said it sold. So I mean, if the iconics are pulling a $2,800, okay, well actually, yeah, let's take a look at this real quick. More have been pulled. We have a Mickey and a Minnie here. DL Braves has both of these for sale. They pulled both. My lord. But yeah, you can see 1,500 for Mickey right now. Still 2 days left. And Minnie is at 1,100 with 2 days left. So these, I would guess, at least. Oh, let's watch this video. This will be cool. At least $2,000 floor. My God, that card, dude. Okay, I mean, that is so beautiful. Come on. Wow. Let's look at the, let's see if they got a video of the Mickey. More gold than I imagined. Like, I pictured more red for some reason. I guess the Mickey, it looks like, does have a little bit more red, but look at that texture. The enchanted or iconic foil in the background with the lore symbols just popping. I mean, that is a work of art. Put that thing in the Louvre. Like, come on. Man, they are just crushing it. 471 views in the last 24 hours. Dead game, by the way. No one cares about Lorcana. Surely sell all of your cards at a discount. Man. People are sleeping. They're asleep at the wheel. All right. That is it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you all have an amazing day. And hopefully I'll be back opening some boxes for you guys here soon. We will see. But I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.